Are you making these very, very common e-file mistakes? We're not gonna forget the bits too. Tracey's gonna show you all of that right now.
So we recently have been doing a video on e-files, kind of the unboxing of the e-file, how to prep with the e-file, how to remove bulk with the e-file, kind of a just breaking down series. But we had some people ask, like, can you just go over what the common mistakes are with an e-file? And I like this video because I made a lot of these mistakes. Actually, I made all these mistakes. So we thought today we'd go over what can happen. What can you be doing wrong? What will make you love your electric file more? Here's the common mistakes. Okay, so kind of going through a mind like what should be first, second. I'm not sure that there is any first to last kind of way of going about this. So I'm just gonna break it down from how I use it from prep up to removing bulk. So the first mistake, actually, let's pull it in. If you're not familiar with the electric file, you guys are gonna laugh at me. This is what I thought when I first got an electric file. Why is there a forward and reverse? I'm like, when in the world, and if you have to, what did you just do that you have to back out of a nail? Why would I ever hit reverse? So first mistake is not knowing what setting you should be using. If you're a righty, you're going in forward. If you're a lefty, you're going reverse. You don't have to back out of a nail at all. It's literally for lefties. So that way the direction of the e-file is going the right way, so you're actually doing something. If you're going with the direction, then you're not actually even shaving anything down. It's not doing anything. So there's the first mistake. Second is prep. Let's start with prep. Like not knowing what bit, first of all, you should use for prep and how fast you should be going for prep. So when you first get an electric file, you usually will get a arbor band. This is a medium grit. So here's a common mistake. If you go too fine, guys, if you go too fine with your medium grit arbor bands or your arbor bands, it's not gonna do anything. Basically, you're just buffing the natural nail. Now, if you go super coarse, basically, this looks like it was dipped in rocks and now you're gonna use it on the natural nail, then it's too aggressive. So a medium is perfect. So not knowing what grit is a mistake. But then also not knowing that you should season this. So we're so afraid, right? We don't wanna get in there and actually cut a client. We know we're supposed to do this with a hand file, right? We know we're supposed to go in and we're season it so we don't cut them. We wanna do the exact same thing with this. We wanna season it so we don't cut them. So we're gonna do that. And we're literally just gonna take it and I just run the edges really quick on a hand file. That just makes it where it's not gonna cut anybody. So there's something that we don't know what to do sometimes. And then I keep on taking it in and out, but what speed? What speed are we gonna work on? So we get in our electric file and we're like, okay, this thing goes up to 30,000 RPMs. Now, right now, this is in the red, and it's because it's telling you, oh, heck no, don't ever run it that fast. When we especially don't want to do that on a natural nail. When we're working with a natural nail, I'm going to take it down to about 3 or 4, right? We want it where we put it to the nail and it doesn't stop moving. One thing that happens is we go, I'm not sure what speed to work with. So we're talking about prep right now. So we'll take our electric file and then we'll put it to about a 1 or a 2, right? And then we take our nail, we're getting ready to prep and I'm stopping. Like, why isn't this working? I should be able to prep the nail, but the moment I even touch the natural nail, it stops. So we're not moving fast enough, okay? Then on the flip side, what some people will do is they'll crank it to a gajillion miles per hour, right? And then they go to the natural nail. I'm not touching my natural nail with this, okay? Because I'm gonna burn myself. Same thing if I took this hand file and I went as fast as I could on that natural nail, I'm gonna start a fire. So this is a huge common mistake when working with an electric file, is that it's gonna do damage. That's a huge mistake to think, right? It doesn't do damage it can do just as much damage as this can. If I'm going as fast as I can and holding it in one spot, I'm gonna do damage. If I take this on 15,000 RPMs on a natural nail and barely move it and just let it burn right on top, it's the same as holding that hand file in one position. It's gonna get hot, it's gonna cause damage. So there is a huge common mistake, is not knowing how fast to run it and thinking it's going to do damage. So if we think it's gonna do damage, then we're gonna be afraid of it. A lot of these have to do with common mistakes or common thoughts that we have with the electric file, which is also going to include our bits. So the next common mistake that I can think of is not knowing what bits to use for what, right? So these are acrylic. If we had bulk, these are kind of actually already finished, but if we needed to take bulk down, and I took my electric file with my arbor band and thought that this was gonna do much for me, right? If I was gonna be able to remove bulk, I'm gonna have to put a lot of pressure down, right? Am I putting pressure like I am and kind of holding it in one spot, trying to get that sanding band to do something, I'm gonna cause heat, I'm gonna cause friction. Why? Because I'm not using the right bit for what I'm doing. I'm not using the right bit for the right job. So when we're removing bulk, we have to use something a little more aggressive. Now, aggressive not in a bad way. It would be like trying to take down a bunch of bulk with a 240 file, a very fine file. I'd be there for a buffer, right? I have to have a more aggressive hand file to do the job. Same thing with this. I have to have a more aggressive bit. What bits am I gonna use? I'm gonna use more of the safety bit Coarse. We have our X-Cut, is great for it too. We have our Tornado bit, which is amazing for it too. These are the ones that are gonna be able to take down bulk. Now, another common mistake that we use, because I'm looking at this bit and I can tell you right now that this bit is dull, right? So the problem with most bits is if you look at it, it won't look dull. It'll look like kind of when you first bought it. Now, I know this is dull because it does have a little wear on it, I can see, but I also just used it, so I know it's dull. When you use them and they're not sharp, right? Even if we take our safety bit Coarse, right? And I start trying to go to the nail, oops, see? I'm in reverse. And I'm going with the direction, so I gotta make sure that I'm in forward, so it'll do something. But see how it's catching? And what it's doing is I'm actually creating divots in the nail. Now you might think, well, wouldn't that mean that your bit's too sharp? No, what's happening right now is I know my bit is not sharp enough, and so it's not gonna shave anything if I go just light touch. It's not gonna do anything. So okay, in my mind I go, I must need to apply more pressure. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna create divots, get caught, cause problems, and it's going to cause heat. And it starts getting you frustrated. You're probably asking, like, how do I know when a bit is dull? The minute you feel like you have to put pressure, your bit's dull. The minute your client starts going, oh, that got warm, your bit's dull. The minute you have to start doing this, you're working, right? You're working and you're like, oh, I gotta put this down for a second. I gotta shake up my wrists. It's because you're trying so hard and putting so much pressure down that your wrists are getting tight. And then the last thing that'll tell you if your bits are dull is, has your time went up? Is it taking you longer to do your sets? This will creep up on you. Your bits will start getting dull and you're just kind of working with it and you're not thinking that it's a major deal. And you're like, why did that take me 10 minutes longer? Why did that service take it longer? Why did my clients keep on saying the electric file was warming up on her? What's going on? It's because your bits are dull. Now, a lot of people will tell me, they'll say, oh, my bits aren't dull. I'm like, when was the last time you replaced your bits? Oh, 6 months ago. That your bits are dull. If you're using them on a regular basis, guys, your bits are dull. When I was in salon, now again, I did 10 to 16 clients a day, but I changed my bits out once a week. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's expensive. Now, what's expensive is taking 10 to 15 minutes longer on a set, or it getting hot on a client and your client complaining and not wanting you to use the electric file anymore. That's what'll actually cost you money. Yes, bits are expensive, but it's worth it, trust me. Okay, moving on. Since we have that, I'm actually gonna pull out a good bit, a brand new one, so you guys can see the difference on how it rides on the nail. So let's change this out, and we're gonna talk about, see how this one works, how it works better than the dull one. And you know what? I'm gonna throw that one away before I forget, because I'll try to use it again. What you can do, guys, is if you have a bit that's dull and you've been using it on acrylic, you can downgrade it to gel. So you can get more use out of your bit because gel is much easier to file. Okay, so let me show you the difference. And then we're gonna talk about what speed we should work on when we're removing bulk. So, see how it just glides? I barely have to touch the nail. I move it towards myself and it takes down product beautifully. That's exactly what we want. No gouges, it's not catching, I'm not putting pressure, client's not getting hot, and my wrists don't hurt, right? So that is another common mistake. Then what speed should we work with when we're working on taking down bulk? Now again, the electric file goes up to 30,000 RPMs, but again, it's screaming at you, please don't use it that fast. The highest I ever get with my electric file is 16,000 RPMs. That's it. Usually it's more in the range of 15, 14, and it just depends. Sometimes I feel like going a little bit faster, sometimes a little bit slower, and as I get closer to the natural nail, I might kick it down to about 11 or 12. But those are your speeds for removing bulk, about 16 to 11, right? So again, if I go too slow, I'm gonna show you, because some people think this is a common mistake. You know what? I'm new to electric filing. I'm scared of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it low and go slower, right? And then I won't hurt my client. Actually, this can actually hurt your client because now it's catching because it's not going fast enough, right? So then you feel like you need to put more pressure, and I start grabbing and I start causing heat. I do this in the OWC all the time. I'll walk up and I turn up the electric file on our students, and they get scared at first. I'm like, just try it. Watch. If I go up to 15, watch. You see how it just glides? As long as you're keeping your hand file in motion, right? So here's another common mistake. Oh, I know I want this side taken down, or I need to remove something here. And you just kind of gouge at it over and over in that one spot, over and over and over and over and over. It's gonna heat up. We need to keep the electric file in motion. So if there's a spot here that you know you need, but you need to still work on this rest of it, go to that spot, but move it around, kind of, and then come back to the spot that you need, and then move it around. And then that way it doesn't cause heat. Always keep your bit in motion. Okay, so that's the difference. We can see how well it just rides on the nail when it's at a higher speed. Right now I'm at 15,000 RPMs. It's perfect. That's where I like to work. It's gliding. Customer is comfortable. I'm comfortable. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody's happy. Okay. We've shown you how this glides. We talked about the speed. Let's see, I'm trying to go through everything in my head. We talked about forward and reverse. Oh, going back to what bits to use for what. You would never, ever want to use this bit on the natural nail. This bit is not made for the natural nail. So again, that's knowing what bit to use for what. This is for removing bulk, not natural nail. Arbor band is not made for removing bulk. It's made for the natural nail. So there's the difference in those. Okay, so this bit is one of my favorites. It's actually what I was trained on before we ever had the safety bit. We had the X-Cut, same material. This just has a round edge, so you don't have to worry about cutting people. So this is a little more scary, I guess, coming around the cuticle area when you're taking down bulk. For this, common mistake is not realizing that this bit itself needs to be seasoned. Remember when we took the arbor band and we did it on the hand file? My hand file? We're gonna do the same thing when you get one. What happens is there's burrs right at the end. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right at that tip. And every once in a while, because the way it's tooled, and this goes for a lot of bits that are square tip like this, is there's little burrs that sometimes as you're cutting, because this is what I use to cut my smile lines in, right? As I'm cutting my smile lines in, it catches, right? It catches and it does this, we call it the machine gun. If you take this, again, we're gonna run it on low. We don't need to go high. I'm gonna go about 4,000 RPMs. And I take it to the side and I just hit it a couple times. Those are gonna take the burrs off and it's gonna give you a much smoother ride when using this. Last thing. Greg talked about this in one of his last videos. It actually really went viral on TikTok. And it was talking about going side to side. Now, if you're using an arbor band and you go side to side, and let me show you with the arbor band what can happen. If we're using the arbor band and we're going like this, you see what just happened? It catches, right? It catches and we go around the world. And if you're using the arbor band, it'll scare you and it'll scare your client, but it won't cut you, right? But if I'm using my X-Cut to take down bulk, right? And I'm at 15,000 RPMs and I'm going back and forth and I go around, right? You're gonna become blood sisters with your client because it's probably gonna cut them and then it's gonna kick back around and cut you. We always work with our bits going in one direction. That direction is being pulled toward you. Whether you're coming this way, I'm pulling it towards me. Now sometimes we'll be going quick, right? And it almost looks like I'm going back and forth. I am not going back and forth. I am going this way, picking it up, coming back, and I'm just doing it quickly. Same thing here. I'm just quickly picking it up and going back. But if we are going with the rotation, and that's what you're doing by going back and forth, you're going against, which is shaving something down, and then when you come back, you're actually going with the rotation, and that's when you slip. So huge mistake, because we don't want our clients to be afraid of the E-file. We don't want you to be afraid of the E-file, and this can cause you guys to become very, very close blood sisters if you go back and forth. Okay, guys, I think that's it. That's all I got for you today. I'm sure there's something that I'm missing. I hope I wasn't too all over the place with you. I know we're kind of common mistakes with the E-file, but the bits are definitely play into it. These are mistakes that I made. Again, number one common mistake is that we're afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the electric file. It's gonna take you time, right? It's gonna take you time to get used to it. What you're gonna be wanting to do when you first start is to chicken peck, right? Practice, practice, practice. This is why it's so important to put nails on yourself. I don't care if you wear nails or not, female, male, doesn't matter. Want to wear nails, don't want to wear nails. Honestly, I love not wearing nails. I like my nails nice and short. I love my stilettos too, but you have to, when you're practicing any nails, you should be putting it on yourself for practice, but especially the electric file. Why? Because you're gonna learn all those things I just told you. You're gonna try it on yourself. You're gonna go too slow and you're gonna realize that that causes divots. You're gonna go too fast and go, oh, that hurts. You're gonna hold it in one spot and you're gonna realize that hurts. It's gonna teach you that you don't do that because you don't want it to do it to your clients. But the number one thing I find that people learn by practicing on themselves is that it doesn't hurt. Like, oh, okay, that's what it feels like. Oh, that's no big deal. If you're comfortable getting it done to yourself, you'll be comfortable doing it on your clients.
If you enjoyed our video, please give us a like and also subscribe to our channel. Free education, tons of videos that you can watch. You can head into our insane library and get educated on nails right now.